Hi everyone, I'm Jodi Barrows with The Square in a Square, and I'm so very excited to show you the Hurricane Star, a brand new pattern using option 25 of the Square in a Square system. Actually, with option 25, I'm going to show you 3 and even 4 blocks and quilts that you can make all from this one simple unit of the Square in a Square system. We're going to use the original ruler of the Square in a Square system, which is the large one, and we're going to use option 25. You can find option 25 in the Diamonds by the Square book, volume 2, and you can also find everything that I'm going to show you in this quick video in our new Hurricane Star pattern. You can go to the website squareinasquare.com/hurricane and you can see the pattern. We also have the fabric that we used for the background or the light in the quilts that I'm going to show you in this video. And it's a very special fabric that we have limited quantities of, and there'll be a drop down box there where you can purchase the same background that I have. And then just pull scraps, batiks, or any of your favorite fabrics from your stash and get started. Our stars use 1/4 of a yard of fabric, so it's easy to make a beautiful star without that much fabric. And we're actually going to be making all of these quilts at once with this magnificent option 25. So let's look down here on our table, and we're going to start out with the basic diamond. This is the diamond in the middle with the strips on the side. Now, we did a lot of Hexie videos in the past year, and you can go back and get more details on the Hexie star that I'm going to show you for those of you that are interested in that. So we're going to take the tip of the 60 and push it right into the tip or the corner of that diamond unit. We want our lines to line up and our grid line to go right through the point. Make your cut and flip it to the other side, and this one is also a 60. So put your 60 in there, line it up, trim it up. And now we're going to use the 120 with 1/4 of an inch. So here's our 120 with the 1/4. Just push it into the corner of your diamond. And for those of you that need more help in making our basic diamond unit, we'll show that on the Hexie video that's already on the Facebook page. And trim it up. So this is what it looks like, and you have 1/4 of an inch on all 4 corners. Now the next thing we want to do to turn it into, and we're going to save these. We're going to come back to this, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our scraps. So the next step is just put the edge of the ruler from the one tip diagonally to the other tip. And I do look at my grid line to see if it looks nice and square. Use a turntable or just move over to the other side and repeat. Cutting it right like an X. So what you have at this point is you have 2 of these units. We call those the short wide ones, and 2 of these that we call the long thin or the long-legged ladies. We're going to show you how to use these and how to use these in some great blocks. First of all, let's look at our Hexies. So what we're going to do on these is we're going to sew 3 together. 1, 2, 3. And of course you want your colors to all be the same. And when you press, you want that center unit to be nice and flat. So press those away or out. Now when you get ready to do your Hexies, you're going to sew them. See how one is down, one is up, one is down, one is up. So it's like flip, 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 and sew as many in a row as you want. And of course, when you get ready to sew your next row together, you have to make sure that the next row that your colors match up. So see, this is one star and this is the back of the other star. And see how your next row, you would make sure that your colors all line up. Now, when you get ready to sew your rows together, so let's say that this is our row here. It's nice to work with 2 rows. Let me get this switched here. It's nice to work with 2 rows. And this other unit that you had here is going to go in here. So on this row, we're going to sew it on this side, just one side. And on this row at the other end, we're going to sew it And of course it would be, you have to end with an odd. So on this one, if you sew it on this side, then on this row, you would sew it on this side. So when this row is all sewn together and this row is all sewn together, and we get ready to sew this, we're just going to sew, sew, and sew. And there you have your long rows, and that's your Hexie star. So let's look up here at the quilt where you can see all of these beautiful Hexies put together. So you can see now how it's put together in rows. We do not put it together as a six-sided star and then have to set in all of these different units. It's all sewn in rows, and it makes it very, very simple and easy to do. Now I also want you to see what you can do with borders with your Hexies. So look at your beautiful borders that you can make. Once again, just one up, one down, one up, one down. And when you get ready to turn and go down the other side, this is your other shape here. And then you can just continue down the other side. You can even take them and do them like this and see how that gives your quilt. This diamond shape will stay standing on all four sides of your quilt as you go. So if we have one more there, and then we start down the other side, you can see this beautiful border that you can make with these units. Now, let's look at another block. Let's look at the hurricane star. So, this right here is your hurricane star, and you can see this long thin shape that we're putting in here like this. So there's 3 of these, and this is one corner, and then 3 of them. So we're going to make 4 and put them together. Let's see how we do this and get this extra piece right here that we call extenders. So you're going to take a rectangle, and you're going to put, if your diamond is down, you're going to sew on the right side. So see how right sides are together, and you just sew, feed the next one in, and sew, and keep going. And then we're going to trim these into this funnel shape. Now when you press it to this solid rectangle unit. I always say press to the least activity. So this is the funnel shape that we want, and I like to cut on the back. So now you're just going to take the edge of the ruler, line it up with your long thin diamond unit, and make your cut. And you don't want any of this cut. You're just cutting the rectangle. Save this, put it in your scrap box. We're going to talk about those scraps and show you what we're going to do. Do this on shape coming together. And you would need to do 3. So let's go together. Trim this up. Now you would have 12 of these shapes because you need 3 for each corner that's going to go together in the block. So now you're going to sew these together just like this. And then you're going to, I don't have one sewn. I thought I did laying here, but I don't. So this is what you want it to look like. So basically what you're going to do is you're just going to square it up. So just take a bigger one and come in here, and the size I want is 7.5. So I'm going to cut 7.5, and I'm going to trim it to get this shape just like this. Then for your block, see how you would put 2 together, just put your seam, 2 together, 2 together, sew it, and there's your hurricane. You have your big storm in the middle with your eye, and then the outer rings and bands going around. The next one I want to show you is the buzzsaw, and we're going to do the trimming on it very similar. I have that one ready to trim. Look at these that are all scrappy in all of the beautiful colors. You can do them all the same, or do them all just scrappy. So the difference between the big hurricane and the buzz saw is the big hurricane we put these extenders on. And on this one, we're not going to put the extenders. We're just going to put 3 of them together. So I press so that the center one is flat. And when I sew, I just line it up down here and sew all the way to the edge. So what we want to do, we want to start with our trim, whether you're doing the hurricane or the buzz, with this corner up here at the top. So this is what we're going to get. This is what we're getting out of the piece. And I already have 2 there ready. So come in here and trim the first corner. So this is the 1/4 of an inch. So we don't want to cut any off of that. So line it up nice and neat there. Come out to the corner and trim any extra off so that you can start getting 2 good, clean, straight edges. Then flip it. And we want this one that we're working with will be a 3.5. So I line it up for the 3.5. I'm going to save that one, that little scrap I'm throwing away. And I'm going to save this one for my scraps. And so you can see how that one will go there. And you just trim it up the same if you're working with the larger hurricane. Start with this corner up here, then flip it and cut it to your size for the others. And then you'll put these 2 together, and then of course those go together, and there's your hurricane star, your buzz saw. And we have used these in the corners and the setting of the hurricane. Now I'm going to go in and just put together just some little scrappy ones and just use these for a block and some type of little sashing in between and make a quilt just out of these beautiful ones. Or I might save them and have some settings ready to go for another quilt. So when you look at the hurricane star, here you can see with the extenders for the big hurricane in the middle, and you can see how we've used the buzz saw in the corners with just some sashing, and we're just going to put our quilt together just like this. And if you're interested in the pattern, this is your pattern, and you can get that at squareandsquare.com/hurricane. It'll take you right to the pattern. Now let's look at the quilt up over here. You can see here how I've started sewing my sections together, and I'll be ready to sew my other 2 rows and my quilt will be done. You can see my borders, how I've done it. Now your hurricane star is just 1/4 of a yard of fabric for each one of your stars, and so that's easy to just pull right out of your stash and go. Now, let's talk about these little shapes here. These are the little corners that I call the fishtails that we cut off. So this is my box of scraps from 3 quilts. I'm making 3 quilts all at once with these blocks. So these were my bigger pieces when I trimmed up my diamonds. So that's what these stacks are here. I had a couple of, like at the end of my fabric when I was cutting, I had just some little strips here. And then I have these funny shapes from the fishtails. So you're just going to go in and pick different colors and sew 2 together. Just keep going. So 2 together, 2 together, 2 together. Okay, so let's see where some of my pieces are in here. So we're just going to keep adding scraps and trimming it up. So let's look at some of these shapes. So you see here how we get started. You can see here and here. And see, you're not matching anything. You're just sewing them together to fit that best shape you can. And you're going to go in and sew on a side. So let's look at all of these different shapes we've got going. They're all going to be different. So you would come in here after you sew your piece on. So let's say that I'm going to do a yellow one right here like this. So the yellow piece, sew it on, and then when I come back to trim it up, I'm just going to lay the ruler on here and trim it this way and trim it this way to get some good straight edges. And I usually, kind of my rule is I go in, like if I'm looking at this, I want to know where to sew. I'm going to go in on my short sides and sew. So this might be a short side. This is the longest side. These two are kind of the same. These two are kind of short. So I'd probably like sew here and then maybe sew here. So I don't want a yellow one there. Let's put a yellow one there. And then maybe I want a background there. So I thought I had some little ones in here. Yeah, there's some little ones. So you just mix up your colors. So that one would go there, there. And I'm just going to sew those and then trim them up. Then when I get these kind of built out a little bit till I can't use my scraps anymore, I'm going to square them up to be a square, whatever, make them all 6 inches or 8 inches, whatever your scraps allow you to do. And then I'm going to go in with the decorative stitch on my machine and use a bright variegated thread. And I'm going to do just beautiful little stitches like it would be like a handwork, like embroidery. But I'm going to do it on the machine over my seams, and it'll give it kind of a crazy quilt look. So, do we have some questions that people have asked? Okay. So, this is the square and square system for those of you that are new to it. The system consists of the square and square ruler. We have the Diamonds by the Square book, which starts out with a diamond in the middle, and it has all of those units in there. It goes from option 18 all the way to option 39. And then we have the volume 1, the square and a square book, and it is the units that have a square in the middle. So that would be like your half square triangles, your flying geese, your quarter square triangles, and those are options 1 through 17. There's how to make them, there's charts so that you can make them any size, and of course there's quilts and blocks in all of the books. Make sure that you go back on Facebook and watch a lot of videos. There's even lots of videos on the Hexie Star that will show you more step by step of how we did it, and also on YouTube and on our website. Make sure you join our email list and like and share and follow and all of that important stuff. And this is our brand new Hurricane Star. It has the Hurricane Star, the Buzz Saw Star, the Hexie Star, all in there ready for you to go. And you're making both of these quilts at the same time because you get both of those units. And of course, beautiful and wonderful borders with those shapes also. So I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you've had a good time. Have a great evening. We'll see you real soon.